Heavenly Father, I fear I must ask something of you. 'Tis a question that has haunted me for days. Why, Father? Somebody knocked at my door, which snapped me from my reverie. Caleb? I called. Yes, mister. Sorry it's so late. It's Mrs. Shovel. Says her husband's got sickness. I hung my head. Tell her we'll be there soon. Caleb and I hastened through the night air and past rows of houses with painted red X's on their doors, when something in the moonlight caught my eye. What's that? Up on the hill? It was shaped like a wagon, but not any that the villagers owned. Beside it was either a man or a giant raven clad in a wide-brimmed hat. No, it was surely the dark deceiving me. Probably a traveller. There'd been many passing by on the roads to avoid the sickness. We arrived at the residence, and Caleb rapped on the door. No sooner had he finished, it opened, and Eliza Shovel ushered us in. Please, mister, I tried everything. In the middle of the room was a bed, in which Tobias Shovel lay. He's too far along. You should have called for me earlier. I knelt at the bedside. He itched and clawed at the swollen buboes around his neck, armpits, and groin. His hands were blackened, the skin rotting away from the bone and emitting a foul stench. Tobias didn't acknowledge me. He just babbled nonsense, seemingly incapable of opening his eyes. I clasped my hands and looked skywards, calling upon the Heavenly Father once more. We could hear morning birdsong as we watched whilst Eliza wept over her unmoving husband. Eventually, she left to stand outside, and the two of us prepared to move the body. Caleb had fetched the cart while I laid out a cloth and devised the best way to transfer Tobias from the bed. As I was thinking, I became aware of the overpowering sense of ginger, cinnamon, and pine permeating through the Shovel residence. I turned to the bed. Sitting beside Tobias was a short figure, clad in a black leather gown, a hood, a wide-brimmed hat on top, and a bird mask the color of bone. "Who are you?" I asked. Birdman raised a finger to his beak in a shushing gesture. He then produced a white, black-speckled leaf from a pouch at his waist and forced it into Tobias's mouth. The stranger then hoisted the deceased over his shoulder in a smooth motion. "Look, son, I don't know." The Birdman and Tobias blinked out of existence, as if they had never been, and the sense went with them. Later, as Caleb and I returned to the church, I looked to the hill where I'd spotted the strange vehicle. It, too, had gone. Caleb awoke me the next morning by hammering on my chamber door and shouting, "Mister, come quick!" I threw on my cassock and rushed out into the hall, where my muscles froze. There, in the middle of the church, were Mr. and Mrs. Shovel. Their voices sounded muffled to me, while they talked and laughed, as though Tobias hadn't passed on to greet his Heavenly Father the night previous.